here, he's right here.
Oh, where's James?
He's here.
Oh.
That's him.
Don't do that.
Hey, Bobby, get your ass over. Oh, I thought.
I'd like to welcome you guys all out to celebrate Haley Beaudry's funeral today. A few thank yous. I'd like to thank Axelson for all the prep work that they did. I also want to thank the girls personally, Amy, Haley Ann, and Renee. A lot of prep work that was put into this, a lot of cool memories, and a lot of opportunity for them to sit with their good mother. Who raised really good daughters. I shouldn't have drank water because then I wouldn't have been hydrated. We're surrounded by good people, and this is a great opportunity that we have to celebrate such a cool dude's life. I'm going to do something a little bit out of the ordinary just because I'm a school teacher, and sometimes I got to be as immature as my students. So I'm actually going to take a picture of all you guys so that we can see that there's a lot of people here to make me nervous. Some of you guys have never smiled before in your life. No, stop. You guys look good. My name is Steve Schultz. I have the pleasure of being married to Renee. I also just want to say that for a couple of years, I was the best, most favorite son-in-law, only until Eric and Amy got married. And then I was second, and then Josh came, and now I'm third, but that still gets you on the podium. So that's really good. So I'm pretty happy with that. We've got a cool program today. We've got a lot of special people that are here, and a lot of things that were dear to Haley. And so we're going to go ahead and start off our program with an opening prayer by Josh, who is Haley Ann's husband.
Feel no guilt and laughter, he'd know how much you care. Feel no sorrow and a smile that he is not here to share. You cannot grieve forever, he would not want you to. He'd hope that you could carry on the way you always do. So talk about the good times and the way you showed you cared, the days you spent together, all the happiness you shared. Let memories surround you, a word someone may say, will suddenly recapture a time, an hour, a day that brings him back as clearly as though he were still here and fills you with the feeling that he is always near. For if you keep those moments, you will never be apart, and he will live forever, locked safely within your heart. Let us pray. Dear Lord, I pray that you will comfort us in our suffering, lend skill to the hands of our healers, and bless the means used for our healing. Give us such confidence in the power of your grace that even when we are afraid, we may put our whole trust in you. Through our Savior, Jesus Christ, amen.
So what's awesome about, thank you, Josh, for that, by the way. What's awesome about being where I'm standing is I get to introduce people. And when I introduce people, what's kind of funny about it is they're all special to me, whether it's part of the Breakfast Club And I think that you guys switch restaurants every 3 years, so that's good for you. French toast is good at all of them, believe me. And we have opportunities to visit with people. So the person I want to introduce is Dan Cloy. Dan Cloy is dear to my heart for a few reasons. I had an opportunity to wrestle with his boys. I had an opportunity to go goose hunting with him. What was cool about going goose hunting with Haley and Renee and Dan is that I scared the piss out of those geese and then they shot them. It was really good. There's a couple of times I almost hit one. It was awesome. And then I looked over and Renee was cheering, "Yay, I got one." And I'm like, "I suck." And so Dan has been there for me for a lot. When me and Renee would travel, sometimes we would leave late because we live in Bismarck now, and Miles City is about halfway, and he would open his home to us and a lot of things. And so I'd like to introduce Dan Cloy, who's going to share a message with us today.
This isn't a bog. This is humbling. This is humbling. But we'll get through it. You know, Haley and I, in the last 4 years, I talked to Haley every single day, either with him or by phone. We had a great relationship, but we usually giggled like little schoolgirls, because nothing Haley liked to do more than laugh, or bring to your attention somebody else's left-wing misfits. He was sure. I was worried that we were going to have to set up everybody on this side, so no left-sided people could be over here. And then I figured out there wasn't enough room to do that, so pretend like you're right-wingers. You know, Haley was renowned for being late. I've never seen, he's the best at it. He never made it anywhere on time, and I used to joke with him about he'll be late for his own funeral. So here's my thought on that. Haley passed away in his sleep Monday, and there's still somebody waiting for him to meet for breakfast because they figured he hadn't showed up yet. There's somebody sitting in one of these restaurants going, "Where the hell's he at?" You know, and still there's, because he always showed up. You know, he never didn't show up. He was always there. One time he told me a story about he had a goat permit, and he was going to go up somewhere outside in the big old hunt goat. And he had some young kid going in. And this goes to Haley's phenomenal sense of humor. So they're going up there, walking around up there somewhere in the hills, and they spot a big goat. It's over on the other side of Helen gone. You know. So they start trudging. So they get to where they're about 500 yards away from this goat, and this young kid turns around and says to Haley, "Quiet, there he is, right there, be quiet. Now, keep up with me. We'll get up there over the hill, we'll shoot him, so just keep up with me." And Haley said, "Isn't that going to scare that goat away?" He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "When I shoot you in the leg, so I can keep up with it." Haley was a man's man and a phenomenal wrestling fan. And he had 3 daughters. You know? And at that time, they couldn't wrestle. So that was always he was proud of his 3 daughters, could care less if they wrestled or not. But one night, and I believe it was Amy came home, she got in a fight. Amy gets in a fight. So Liz and Haley are in bed and they're sleeping, and Haley and he said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I'm in a fight, I'm in trouble, and some girl punched me, and I had to hit her 3 times. And Haley's answer was, "You need to get in the weight room." So he didn't. Haley and I were like, remember the old green monster Dodge truck that Haley drove until the wheels fell off? Well, there's 2 stories about that. One time we're going to Iowa City, Iowa for the National Wrestling Championships. So Haley said, "I'll pick you up Miles City, and I'll pick you up at 11 o'clock. And I thought PM and he thought AM, so somewhere in the middle of the night he came. So we get in this truck, that big beast 3/4 ton road, and we drove all the way to Iowa City. And we get to Iowa City, and we watch the wrestling, and things are fun, and we're having a good time. And the reason he brought the truck is because he had to go to Fort Smith, Arkansas, and pick up some furniture from Liz's family. Her father had just passed. There were some things that Liz wanted. Why, I have no idea, because I loaded them. I had paid her not to get them. So anyway, we left Iowa City, Iowa, which is 1,400 miles from here. And about 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon, we drove to Fort Smith, Arkansas, which is another 900 or 1,000 miles. Then we load the truck up and we head back home. So it was one of these deals, we were going to share the driving. The fact that Haley died in his sleep is, I don't, any of you guys are mathematicians, well, you'd have to be a really good one to figure out the odds of that happening. Because he drove asleep. He had more sleeping time behind the wheel than anybody I ever saw. So we're on the way down there, it's St. Patrick's Day, and we stop, we want to get some corned beef and cabbage. So we stop in this place, and there's a kid behind the counter somewhere, I don't know where the hell, somewhere. And it was a Subway type of shop. And Haley said, "Let's get a corned beef and cabbage sandwich or something." So I said, "Corned beef and cabbage." What? I said, "It's St. Patrick's Day." Okay. I said, "We'd like to have some corned beef and cabbage." He said, "Well, I've never heard of that." And Haley said, "Were you raised by wolves?" So anyway, we did get our corned beef and cabbage. One of the other stories that included the green truck. Haley and I went hunting one day. Brian, were you with us? No. Maybe just Haley and I. We're up the boulder, and Haley didn't pay any attention to signs any more than I did. So all those posted signs meant, "Come on in! Hunting's really good in here." So we're driving the truck and we're on our way out. I said, "Here, go through there. There's a shortcut. We can save about 5 miles." And he said, "Okay, there's a big sign there." So we go through there, we get right in the middle of this, and the left front wheel falls off. The axle, the whole, just capsized. Now we're in the middle of this closed road with a broken wheel, and we hiked up. And called my son Brian, and he came up and picked us up, and then we came back to Butte. We got Red Record Service to take us up there to get the truck out of Well, we drive up there and Haley and I are in the front of the truck, the wrecker guy, and we start coming down the road and I said, turn right up there, Haley. The wrecker guy said, that's a closed road. We can't go in there. It says, no. I said, no, hold on. Haley says, hold on. He's a thinker, boy. He was a quick thinker. He says, I'll take care of that. My wife and I were very fortunate. Haley lived with us during the legislature when he was over there as the only Republican in Silver Bowl County. We spent a lot of late nights together. Lots of laughs. One of the better ones, he shows up and he said, oh, I'm going to kill him. I am going to kill both of them. What's wrong? He said, oh, that sister of mine, Pollyanna, and her husband, Lenny, I'm going to kill them. I'm telling you, I can't, it drive me nuts. I'm just going to, and Linda and I are listening. And he says, I know what I should do. I know the right thing to do now. And so I'm going the way of the normal human being. That's just ignore him. Don't let him bother you. That's not where Haley was going. He said, I know what I should do now. I should punch them both right in the nose. And then I'd feel better, and a couple of weeks later, they'd feel better too. He also taught me about not being liked because you were from Houston. We were somewhere, wrestling somewhere. And some woman said, you Butte guys, I can't stand people from Butte. And Haley said, what are you telling me for? I don't care if you stand me. I've got lots of friends and I'm not looking for any new ones. When I get this shot about we don't like new people, well, on the way up here, my son, Brian, told me to turn my phone off. And I did. I'm going to put it right there in case he calls. It's louder. It was never a day, it never rang, so I'm going to leave it right there and he calls along. But, I was president of the Chamber of Commerce. I talked Haley into becoming secretary or whatever the following rules were. And then Haley and I talked Judy March into it. So I'm up talking to Haley up at the energy building up there, and I asked him if he could follow me and be chamber president. He said, do they do a background check? He said, I've done some dumb stuff in my life. And I said, no, I don't think they do that background check because they let me in. And it's like, so he followed me, and then Judy, and we became the three comrades that were very special friends to each other. Now I'm going to get serious, a little bit, try to. I'm a firm believer, and I'm talking to his family now, his children, their husbands, his grandchildren, Liz. I'm a firm believer that we don't ever lose them. Our spirit's always there. It's always part of who never leaves us. And one day, one of you young grandchildren or children or whoever will be faced with a very difficult decision. Haley was faced with a lot of them in his life. And you're going to be faced with a decision. And remember this, you're going to say to yourself, what would my grandpa want me to do? And you're going to make the right decision. I don't know when it's going to happen, but my daughter will tell you it's true. When my mom passed away, I told, remember that, Liddy? I said, you're going to have that happen to you. You're going to say, what would grandma want me to do? And you will make the right decision. It's just part of this. It's just part of how it is. I love the man. He'll never be gone. I talked about that 40 years in a row of talking to him every day. And I posted on Renee, I forget whose site I posted on. And I posted on there, over the past 40 years, there wasn't a day went by that Haley and I didn't talk personally or on the phone. There never was. And so I said, I don't know how I'm going to occupy the emptiness in my life.
Call Liz.
No, what I said to myself then was, I'm just going to keep talking to him. I'm never going to quit talking to him. And so I hope he listens, because he never listens any other time. But I'm just going to bring it up, and if I'm thinking about something, or if I see a wrestling match that was particularly enjoyable, I'm going to say, hey, big guy, did you see that? And sometimes he'll let me know. I'm humbled. You got one other thing here. You knew Haley, people that know him real well know. Did you ever see Haley eat a hamburger? Well, the hamburger eating process involved 1 bite, 2 bites. 1 bite, 2 bites. Ready when it was done. Good. So Liz called me Monday to tell me about my friend. My wife and I were coming back from Rapid City, South Dakota. And we stopped at a restaurant. She was hungry. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't anything. I was just kind of numbing. And so the waitress came over to get our orders. And said to Linda, go, I'm going to have hash brown, whatever else. And she said, what do you want? I said, I haven't. Oh, I know what I want. Bring me 2 pieces of white bread and the biggest salt shaker you got. And I'm going to make myself a salt sandwich. And I did. Ugh. It was hard to get down. I needed more than 1 glass of water to swallow that one, you know. And the other thing, if you do hate it all, this here maybe, I think, I can't say what Haley told me. But if you were ever around Haley, he'd order, give me a cheeseburger and no pickles. I mean, no tomato. Matter of fact, if there's any tomato in the kitchen, make my sandwich in the bathroom. I don't want tomatoes near any part of what I'm going to eat. So one day I talked to him and I said, hey, I got an idea. What's that? I said, tell them if they're going to bring you one, bring it to you whole. It'll be easier to throw back through the window. Because that's what he did one day. He went through Wendy's, got out on Harrison Avenue, opens up a sandwich and 2 slices of tomato. He wheels back through the line, gets the line, we drive up to the window, throws the whole bag. right in the window. So yeah, that was holy then a bit of time. Thanks, guys. I love you. That's it.
I'd like to thank Dan for his remarks. It's cool to see friendships. It's cool to see them guys together. And they did laugh like little schoolgirls. It was funny. Sometimes there'd be a 5-minute conversation of laughter. And then we would sit around and like, what are they laughing at? And we never ever knew, but they never stopped laughing. So yeah, probably true. Right now we're going to have a presentation with Mac, Haley's brother, is going to sing while the grandchildren are going to have a presentation.
I'm hoping I get through this all right. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are called from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses fallen. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. For I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. And when ye come and all the flowers are dying, if I am dead, which dead I well may be, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me. And I will hear, though like you tread above me, and then my grave will warmer, sweeter be. For you will bend and tell me that you love me, and I will sleep in peace until you come to me. Oh, Danny boy, the streams flow cool and slowly. The pipes still call and echo across the glen. Your broken mother sighs and feels so lonely, for you have not returned to smile again. So if you died and crossed the stream before us, we pray that angels met you on the shore, and you'll look down and gently you'll implore us to live we may see your smiling face once more.
I've known Mac for a really long time, and I didn't know he could belt like that. It's well done, how special it was. Dan told me before we started this, since we've got, we have a program, and I knew the order of things, and he actually felt sorry for Eric, and felt grateful for himself, because there's no way in the world Dan could have spoke after Mac singing. And it's cool to see emotions of family and friends. We'll now hear from Eric, Eric is he's going to kind of represent the boy side of things. And then we are going to have Renee just follow him. And Renee is going to represent her sisters. And we look at that point. Eric.
Thanks. Yeah, I do feel sorry for myself after following both of you. Who would have known after 40 years of you and Haley that you could be such a good storyteller? As Steve said, I'm Eric McNabb. I'm the husband of Amy and the second of the 3 son-in-laws. I'd like to thank everyone in attendance here today for all of those who have sent us their well-wishing. We've got phone calls, social media, text, visits, tons of food, more food than we could eat in a year, and lots of thoughts and prayers. And all of those have brought tears, laughter, and memories of a man who was truly loved and admired by so many. I know all of you have fond memories and endless stories of your times and interactions with Haley. And I'm hoping that throughout today, as we celebrate his life, you guys can share those stories with each other and have some laughter, some tears, some joy throughout today. When I first started dating Amy, we were in our early high school years. And as any young teenager, I didn't have a lot of fear during that time, right? Stupid teenager. Even after hearing stories of the powerlifting of a man who could stand flat-footed and still kick the ceiling. Well, that changed pretty quickly. The first time I met Haley, Amy brought me into the house, and there was Haley sitting at the kitchen table, cleaning his handgun. And we all know that handgun had already been cleaned. Well, then as Amy introduced me, Haley stood. There I was, looking at this giant, and he reached out his hand, biggest hand that I'd ever seen. Well, that's when I remembered what fear was. Haley sat down, he continued his gun cleaning, then he proceeded to pull out his knife and start sharpening. Well, that bonus will be engraved in my mind, probably forever. As he sat there, occasionally he would look up, smirk at me, and just give me that look that I'm sure everyone here can imagine right now. But I knew in those moments that I'd be okay. Even though Haley didn't get the son that he wanted, his daughters did a hell of a job bringing him son-in-laws that checked all the boxes for wrestling, football, hunting, fishing, engineering, math, and finally, a Republican. Thanks, Josh, for completing that one for us. But even with all of that, Haley still would have said, to hell with that list, if any one of us would not have treated his daughters with the expectation that he expected, or if none of us had the family values that he wanted us to live up to. And luckily, his girls had good choices in all the men that they brought into this family. And being part of this family for quite some time now, I know that Haley loved each one of us as a son and was just as proud to have us a part of his family as we are to be a part of his. Early on, as Steve said, we were pretty close early in the years. Becoming a part of Haley's family was one step forward, followed by 2 steps back. And during family dinners, it was always a bit nerve-wracking, sitting next to the big man, trying to impress him, trying not to mess up. before my first dinner, I'd been told the story of Steve's first dinner. Didn't go so well. Liz, trying to make Steve comfortable, decided to make Steve some sticky rice. Well, they sat down at the table. Steve then dug in, full fist, balled up that rice, started to eat that with his fingers. And the look of disgust on Haley's face was priceless, I'm told. Without a word, he looked at Steve and handed him a fork. Steve, confused, responded with, "At our house, we use our hands to eat." Haley, in his deep, firm voice, "At my house, we use a fork." That was Steve's first time with this modern tool. And if I remember right, I don't think he ate another bite the rest of that beef. Well, in my first experience, we went out to dinner. It wasn't at the Beaudry house. And I thought I was doing pretty good when I got a glimpse of approval when I ordered my steak rare. Because, of course, Steve was a well-done guy. So I was one up on him. Well, 2 steps back, when I ordered my salad, I failed to ask for the honeymoon salad, lettuce alone. And instead, I asked for one of those rotten tomatoes. Not good. But then at, I think it was either Thanksgiving or Christmas, I was back for another dinner. And of course, table manners at the Beaudry house were a requirement. And I sit down to Liz's fine china, beautiful place setting, and there they have 3 forks. I was a little confused. Here I thought I was going to be good because I could use a fork, I could use a knife. I was going to get ahead of Steve again. Well, without fail, I grabbed the wrong fork. Haley Ann was quick to point out which fork to use. He had taught his daughters very early on proper table manners. By the time Haley Ann brought Josh home, Haley had already used all of his tricks and tactics on Steve and I. So it was pretty smooth sailing for Josh as he found himself in the Beaudry family. Then again, Josh is an avid outdoorsman, a hardcore Republican, and he was the boyfriend of the baby of the family. He had it pretty easy. And I'm going to add on a little bit to Dan's story on Haley's travels. As many of you know, Haley's life was spent in a vehicle, traveling to his next job, to his next appointment, to one of the girls' games, to a wrestling match across the country, or a myriad of other reasons. On one of these times, Amy, the kids, and I were up at Big Sky Lake up here in Montana visiting from Utah. Haley was up at Columbia Falls Aluminum Company on his way back. And he got to the cabin, and I asked him how the ride was. He said, "I got in a great nap." And over these last couple of days, as we've laughed about his napping and driving, several stories were brought up. One in particular, on their trip to Arkansas. Liz was already in Arkansas for Grandma Nisi's funeral, and Haley and the girls were driving cross country. And I think it was in Kansas when Haley asked Amy, who was 12 at the time, Renee was asleep in the back, if she wanted to learn how to drive. So we proceeded to pull the car over, got out, switched places, told her how to fix all of her mirrors, told her just drive straight. And then as Amy started to drive, she looked over and her dad was asleep. The other story that I know that both Josh and I really appreciate was that Haley made sure that as they were out driving, that they were always on the lookout for deer. And as you guys all know, with that big green truck, custom bumper, grill guard, he wasn't afraid of hitting any deer. He wanted to make sure his girls were good spotters and they could find anything. Now, I'm here to tell you, in our family, Amy's our best spotter as we're driving down that road. And she's earned the nickname Eagle Eye. Haley was always quick to start a conversation with, and it was so easy to get lost in time if you were having these conversations, and it really didn't matter the subject. The big man was always supportive of his family, his friends, and anyone from Montana, especially those that were competing at the next level. In talking with Haley, he always had a great story which included his signature smile and that contagious laugh. However, his best look that you could see and his deepest happiness was when he was with any one of the grandchildren. The joy, the pride, the excitement, and the love of a grandpa was on full display. Joseph Haley Beaudry, big man, thank you for being a loving husband, father, father-in-law, grandfather, a friend to so many across this globe, for living a full, rich, and loving life. You lived life big, but lived it with an even bigger heart. Your legacy will forever be in our hearts. Please keep watch over our families, and may you rest in peace.
Again, thank you so much to everybody for coming today. Is that better? Okay. Thanks to everybody for coming today. We really do appreciate all the love and support that you've given us through this week, and I'm sure that will continue. We really appreciate it, and appreciate all those people that inevitably will help us take care of Mom, because we're all living out of town, so she'll need it. So thank you. I'm here representing the daughters, and so we kind of came up with a list of things that we've learned from our dad. He was a great example, teacher, hero, and so I have probably 2 pages worth of just things that he taught us. First thing first, stand up for yourself. Never back down from a fight, and if you're gonna fight somebody, make sure it's not your sister. That came from a fight Amy and I got into at the bus stop. She threw the first punch, but I got in trouble. I did win. I mean, and when you're throwing the first punch, always make sure to not tuck your thumb in your fist. That's actually my first memory of the things that my dad has taught me. If you're gonna hold a fist, don't tuck your thumb because you'll break it. If there's something you really want or believe in, don't take no for an answer. Vote. Vote Republican. Work hard. Keep a daily journal. You'll be surprised at how quickly things change. Practice your penmanship. My dad practiced his penmanship every day. Practice his signature, practice writing sentences, words, diagramming sentences. Read something every day. Make sure you're going to learn something every day, something new. Go to school. Learn to speak in public and like it. Dress every day like you're going to meet somebody important. Someday you will. You never get a second chance to make that first impression. Live large. Learn a new trade. And don't be afraid to get dirty. Don't aim at something that you don't intend to kill. Learn to drive a stick shift. Okay, side note, I learned to drive a stick shift in the old Toyota when Dad was at work, and I would just, take it. I didn't think he knew. He probably did. But I never wrecked it, so. When in doubt, trust your gut. And if you're going to tell a story, make sure you're going to tell a good one. Say what you mean what you say, and don't be mean when you say it. A handshake is more important than words on paper. Make sure you learn to do it properly. You don't want any limp fishes. Learn to use chopsticks. And also hold your fork and knife properly. Eat rare steak. And the best vegetables in the world are French fries and bacon. Never steal, cheat, or lie. I've got another story with this. We girls went to McDonald's, and I'm pretty sure we rode our bikes there because we didn't have driver's licenses. But we stole about a dozen of those plastic balls from the ball pit. Where she was there too. And I think they're plastic balls. They're nothing. Well, he saw them and knew where they came from, and he made us ride our bikes back to McDonald's, give them to the manager, and apologize for stealing these plastic balls. I will never forget that. It was so embarrassing. Also, he followed us there. We had to ride our bikes, but he did follow us. Trust others' words and hold to your own. Go get your own Christmas tree. Oh, some of the best memories. Also, I was a terrible Christmas tree picker out there. Oh, we always had to ask Dad branches when it was my turn to pick. Keep your knives sharp and your guns clean, especially when boys are dating your daughters. Don't lower your expectations just because you're a girl. You held us to that. Go to Montana Tech and be a mining engineer. Only one of us did that. Although the name Amy, she just found this out. We all knew, but she just found this out. Stands for American Institute of Mining and Metallurgical Engineers. She's a teacher. If you guys noticed when the kids were putting rocks up here, that candle says TNT. One thing Dad taught us was no fly rock. He always wanted us to know how to gut an elk and how to gut a fish, and to do it extremely efficiently. Rock chucks are real. Very funny. Always show up for family. He was always good about being there when we needed him. Wrestling and football are the only real sports. And only pencil necks play basketball. Keep an eye out for that D end. Watch how he moves through there. That's football stuff. And you can control a wrestling match from the side of the mat. And make sure you dump out your boots before you put them on, because there just may be a scorpion in there. That's because there was a scorpion in his boots when they were living in Brazil. And we used to tease him about it. And the one time he didn't dump out his boots and he put his boot on, there was a bee. Go figure. it'll be impossible to fill my dad's size 16 boots. But he did set us up with some great lifelong lessons and a great example. Lots of lessons that we'll never forget. And of course, for me, I think the thing that I remember most about him is that he never raised his voice when I was not a good person in school. I did a lot of naughty things, but he never raised his voice. But he would sit down and he would look at me and go, "You know you're better than this." And that was it. And it was forgotten, and all was forgiven, and everything was well. He definitely was my hero. Or too. And his laughter is the thing that I've dreamt about. The most important thing, though, that he has ever taught us was never, never, never eat a tomato. We love you, Dad. We miss you.
Whatever comes our way. Yeah, I'm gonna make it happen. Personally want to just thank you guys for being here. There have been allotted a little bit of time, if I so chose, to share a few remarks. It looks like I'm that guy that's got to clean up some of the stories that make me look like a wuss. I kind of am. My dad is a big islander. And so because my dad was a big islander, he taught us to eat like islanders do. And he was on a seafood diet. And so all the food that he saw, he ate. And the fastest way to eat it is with your hands. And so you pinch the rice. He didn't have it right. It's not like this. It's more like this. And you pinch it and you eat. And I was sitting across from Haley when that happened. And yes, so I was dreaming up this cool plan when he was at my house for dinner to look him in the eye and say, when you eat at my house, we use our hands. Nope. Zero chance of that one. Also, Hawaiians tend to cook their meat for a long time, and they allow them to marinate and do all of that stuff. And so we're going to, I believe it was Barclays. And no, sorry, Renee was working at, what's that place called again? The Derby. She was working there. She was a salad lady. That was a cool job. The outfit was good though too. I liked the outfit. And so I sit there and I eat, and then and it gets to me to order, and I said, "Oh, well done." And Haley looks at me and he goes, "No." Don't know how to order a steak. Medium well? No. Medium? This is the last time, but okay this time. And so it was really, really cool to associate with Haley. One of the coolest things of being able to stand where I'm at is to have the ability to look all of you in the face and tell you that I was surrounded by greatness a lot. I was the coolest son-in-law. I got to work with Haley. Man, that guy pissed me off sometimes. I would sit out there for days. He might have slept in the car when they were driving, but I don't know if he was sleeping in the truck when I was drilling holes. But I would drill a lot of holes, and then we'd load them with dynamite. And then Amy would get out of the nice warm car and push the button and watch it go boom. And I was like, my thumbs work. I kept them on the outside. I didn't break them. And so it was so cool. I've had the opportunity to work with Haley a lot. And because I've got to work with Haley, I've got a chance to meet a lot of cool people in here. I enjoyed going to breakfast. I always called Haley the Godfather. Because when he was at breakfast, his seat never changed, but the seats around him did. We were excited to see him. I thought about waking up and going to the Hanging Five today, but I wasn't quite sure if I'd be alone or not. It would have been tough to explain. I met good people. The Hoot Gibsons, the Lee Alts, the Jim Streets, the people that I was kind of afraid of when I was a kid that turned out to be really cool people that I've met that I look up to a lot. This right here with standing room only is a reflection of how great of a man that Haley is. And for that little bit of Haley that we have in every one of us. The most important thing that I've ever learned from that big man is this. Anybody who was in the room with Haley was the most important person in his life. And I always felt most important with him. Such a cool guy. I looked up to him because I'm short. And I had the pleasure of meeting him for the first time. Yes, he was cleaning his gun. He didn't get to the knife yet. I already pissed myself. So. But he gave me the pleasure of sitting down so I could see him eye to eye. And then I wish girls would have wrestled because that was the last time I was Renee's weight. And that was actually, I don't know, I wouldn't have minded wrestling with her at that time either. So it was pretty good. Oh, I got pinned. I've been all right. In all seriousness, I hope that each one of you can take the example of Haley, regardless if you're left or right, regardless if you eat tomatoes. You should watch my kid eat ketchup. He didn't like that either. But he was honest in the things that he did. He was honest with his friendships with you. And because he was, it allowed us to feel some sort of closeness with him. He was built for life. No matter where he was built for life. And he was built for life because of people like you. If you are anything like Haley in any way, consider yourself blessed. He has a great wife who took care of her daughters very, very well. He has great daughters who take care of their husbands really well. And if we can spread that friendship piece by piece like Haley did, we can change the world. And I really believe that. And thank you for being here today. I'm going to just close it now. We'll have a song, but we'll just end with the song and then I'm going to quit talking. And I'm just going to close with a little prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful to be here to celebrate the big man's life. We're grateful for family. We're grateful for friends. We're grateful for mothers and we're grateful for daughters and for the abilities that we have to share with one another. We're grateful for Haley. We're grateful for his example to us, for the lessons that we've learned, and for the great people that he has been part of. We'll be with Liz as she goes through this time in her life, to know that we have a support here in Butte, but we also have a support wherever she needs it. We're grateful for family and friends who support and love this family with the countless hours that have been put into preparing this funeral, but in the countless hours that have been put in for appreciation and thoughtfulness on our behalf. We know that Haley will rest with us and rest in our souls for eternity, and we're grateful for his presence in our lives. And we offer this blessing in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. I have a few reminders. We still have the registration book, guest book, I don't know what it's called, that thing that you sign your name and it tells us all the cool people that joined. That's going to be left out here. There is a meal to follow. We appreciate you staying here and hanging out and shooting the breeze with all of us. It would be really, really great for that to happen. I personally want to thank you for anything. Yes, so we have these cool pins, and I remember this pin from, I don't know, I got in after the election, kind of. I was part of the re-election, working and putting up signs. That was part of my job. But the emerald is to represent Emerald Engineering was his company that he had, and that's right place on Butte. That's where his heart was. And I just remember Grandma Polly and being at Grandma Polly's funeral and having the Emerald Engineering blanket inside of her casket. And I remember that. I don't remember much about the funeral, but I remember the love that he had for his mother. And that's the same love that I've seen with his grandchildren and children. And what a great example he was. So we'll have a closing song. These pins are actually in the basket if you want one. You can support it. I tried to give them out to people. I've got one that reminds me in my pocket. It's got one of the backs off, and so I keep poking myself. So thank you again for being here, and we love you, Haley. Good man.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, in New York to Italy, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land.